All right, so this is an event organized by that named woman. They're organizing this event just really to educate the public, to educate people, to provide financial education to families and to many different people. As a lot of you would know, we go to school, we do many, many thousands of hours in school. Nobody actually ever teaches us about money, how money works, how to get our money working for us. So well done, that named woman, for organizing this event and putting it together. Um, Emmy, can you talk? Do you want to give a shout out to your sponsors or you want to do it later?
Mari can do that.
Okay, all
Or
right.
you can do it, Sam.
So maybe Marie can do it halfway through. We can do it halfway
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, she'll do it
Okay.
halfway through.
So we've covered several sessions over the last few weeks. Today's session, we're looking at saving and insurance. It's really just talking about getting bossy about your money, getting bossy with your money. And, my details are on there. More than happy to have a one-to-one consultation with anybody that might be interested in doing that. But as those of you who've been coming for the last few weeks, I love to start on this. This is what I start with every week. And I really do believe it's a power of a made up mind. If you don't make a decision to do something, then it's never going to happen, which is why I love what Emmy and the group have done here. They've wanted to do this for a while and they've actually put it together. So it says here, your mind is a magnet. If you think of blessings, you attract blessings. And if you think of problems, you attract problems. Always cultivate good thoughts and always remain positive and optimistic. And for me, that's really what it's all about. It's about remaining positive, remaining optimistic, knowing that whatever your goals are, you can actually achieve them. So I want to start off again today, just looking at where most people end up. Financial education is really, really important. And because a lot of us don't get this education, there's a stat that if you take 100 people, let's say they started working at the age of 25 and they worked for 40 years of their working life. After the 40 years, and you look at all that 100, what you find is one of them will be wealthy, four financially stable, 41 will still be working, and 54 will be depending on friends, family, or the government. Now, the question here says, which category will you fall into if you change nothing? I'm sure if I was to ask everybody here now, where would you like to be? Let me see you put it in the chat box. Would you like to be one of the one, the four, the 41, or the 54 when you get to the age of 68? Now, I've been doing this for for over a decade, and I've never seen anybody say they want to be in the bottom two. Everybody wants to be in the top two. But as you can see, statistically, majority of people will be in the bottom two. Now, Einstein says insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And the issue really is a lot of us, we keep going round and round in circles and we keep doing the same thing and we find ourselves in the same place many, many years from now. Now, as an organization, what we do, our mission is to teach people how money works, helping them to become debt free and financially independent. I'm sure, again, if I was to ask you in the chat box, how many of you would like to be debt free and financially independent? Let me see you put a 2 in the chat box if you would like to do that. I think because it's really important to be, like I said earlier, it's the power of a made up mind. You've got to want to do it for it to actually happen. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Thank you, Marie. It looks like Marie is the only one who wants to be financially independent in the room right now. So well done, Marie. You get first place. I'm sure other people probably will be putting something in. But this is what Robert Kiyosaki said. I shared something about Robert Kiyosaki last week. He wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And what he said is this. He said, the main reason people struggle financially is because they spent years in school but learned nothing about money. The result is that people learn to work for money but never learn to have money work for them. The question to all of us really is your money working for you, or are you just working for money? I think being able to run the session that we're doing today and attending this session today really separates you from millions of other people who are just going around in circles doing the same thing again and again and again. All right. So, hey, I'm a Christian. I don't apologize for it. And the good book says, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he grows older, he will not abandon it. It says the rich rules over the poor and the borrower becomes the lender's slave. Let me ask you a question. Are you a borrower? Are you a lender? Which one are you? Okay. Are you a borrower or a lender? It's really important. For me, when those of us as parents, it's really important that we can teach our children these things. I always say to people, my sons, they know more about money now than I did than I ever did. They know more about money by the time they were 10 than most people. Mainly because thankful to God that I was able to teach them some of this stuff. So for you to be able to pass on that knowledge, you need to know it yourself and you need to be doing these things. Success begins somewhere. My question is this: do you want that success to begin with you? Or when your children get to your age right now, are they still going to be where you are? Are they going to own their own properties? Are they going to have their own businesses? Are they going to be financially independent? Or are they going to be going around in circles like most of us are doing right now? It's really important that our children do better than us. I want my children to be better than me. I don't want they'll go through their own challenges, but I want them to be far ahead of where I am right now when they get to my age. So success begins somewhere. Let me encourage you. Let it start with you. Imagine wanting to make a cake. You want to bake a nice cake. Now, for me personally, I've baked once or twice in the past, but one of the things you need is you need a recipe. You need a recipe. You need to follow that recipe to the letter, okay? And then that cake will be nice and delicious. Same thing with IKEA. I don't know how many of you, I love putting up this IKEA stuff. I used to love going to IKEA, and I'll get the box, I'll bring it back home, I'll get a glass of wine, some music, and I'll take my time building it. So making a cake, you need a recipe. Building a cabinet or something like this, you need the instructions. Same thing comes when you want to build wealth. If you want to build wealth, guess what you need? You need a financial plan and you need the education. And this is what we're doing here. This is part of what we're doing today. This is part of what we're building today. All right. So most people don't plan to fail. They just failed to plan when they could have done. That's all. Most people didn't plan to fail. And really, what I'd like you to do now really is I want you to think right now about where you are at this very minute. And I'd like you to write, get a piece of paper. On one column, I want you to write how much debt you have right now. At this very moment, how much debt do you have? And then I want you to write in the second column, how much are you earning at this very moment? It's the 2nd of March 2024. And then on the third column, I want you to write how much you have in savings at this very moment, today. So how much debt do you have? How much are you earning? And how much do you have in savings? Now, your personal economy does not depend on the government. It does not depend on your employer. It really depends on you. Where you are financially comes down to you. So when you've written this down, the next thing I want you to write is I want you to write down 2nd of March 2025. By God's grace, all of us will get there. Okay? But 2nd of March 2025, I want you to write how much debt you are going to have. How much are you going to be earning? And how much will you have in savings? Again, I'm going to repeat that. I want you to look ahead 12 months from now. Because like I said, it really is up to you. Where you are is up to you and the decisions you make. So how much do you want to have in your debt column? How much do you want to have in your earnings? And how much do you want to have in your savings? I want to encourage you to write it down, okay? Put it down on a flip chart, on an A4 paper, and maybe stick it up on your wall. Stick it up on your cabinet and look at it every day. Because I do believe when you see it, you will make it happen. Goal setting, we're going to be looking at goal setting in the near future. Okay, there's 3 more series coming of this. There's 3 more episodes coming of this series here. So we're going to be looking at goals in the near future. But this is one thing I want you to look at when we're talking about this now. So let's talk about some principles, because principles rule the world. Okay, there's the gravity, there's all sorts of principles that we look at. You have got to understand the rules of the game you're playing. We used to play board games in my house all the time. And every time I traveled, I looked for a board game to buy, and we'll come home and we'll sit down as a family and we'll play the board game. And it's always important to look at the instructions. Okay. So when you're playing a game, you need to know the rules. Because if they understand the rules and you don't, you will lose. And we're talking about money. Do you understand the rules of money? Do you understand the game? Because money is a game. And for the organizations, banks and organizations like that, they know the rules. Do you know the rules? There are different rules that we talk about. So let's look at the bank account. Is your bank account safe? I sit down with families every day and I look at their finances and I say, okay, you've got this money, you've got £10,000. Okay, where is that money? Oh, it's in my bank account. Savings account or current account? Oh, it's in my current account. Or I've got £1,000. It's in my current account. Let me show you, when people tell me their bank account is safe, let me show you a principle that most people don't think about. Your bank account is for short term. You don't want to leave money in your bank account for a long term. Let me show you an example here. Let's say you've got £10,000 in your bank account, and your bank, they're a generous bank, they're giving you 4% interest. Okay, so by the end of the year, your £10,000 will have generated £400. Now, I don't know if you know this, but you get taxed. You get interest taxed on your money. So really, you get taxed £80 from that £400. Okay, so now your £10,000 at the end of the year is 10,320. Whoop whoop! Everybody's happy, right? Your money has earned you £320. You're happy. You're fired up. Okay, but let me show you why sometimes that might not be the best news. Because think about inflation. Inflation right now is about 4.6%. But let's just say 3.5, because for many years it was at 3.5%. Your £10,000, when you put inflation in at 3.5, is actually £361.20. That means the value of your 10,320 is actually 9,958.80p. I'm not sure if you all understand what I've just shared with you. You've actually lost £41.20 on the £10,000 that you put in the bank. That's a principle, that's a rule of money. Did you know this? If you knew this before now, fantastic. If you didn't, very important that you know this stuff. Another thing is, people talk about saving. The rule of 72. We talk about the rule of 72. I went through this, I think, last week or the week before. So I'm not going to go through it too much. But for those of you that were not here then, the rule of 72 shows you how long it takes for your money to double at a given interest rate. So let's say you've got 10,000 in the bank and the bank says they give you 3%. Okay, thank you, bank. Awesome. Now divide 72 by that interest they gave you, that's 24. That means your 10,000 pounds will grow slowly. And after 24 years, you can go to your bank, they'll give you 20,000. 24 years later, that 20,000 becomes 40,000. So after 48 years, your 10,000 pounds will have grown to 40,000 pounds. I always say to people, if I waited 48 years for my 10K, I'll be over 100 years old. I'll probably see the check and have a heart attack because the money is just not going to be enough. Okay. So instead of you putting your money in the bank, let's say you go and invest your money, you buy shares, you buy property, whatever it may be. Now you're getting 6% for your 10,000 pounds. Divide 72 by 6, you now get 12. So now your money doubles every 12 years. The same period, you would actually earn 160,000 pounds. Let me ask you, if you put in the chat box, please, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer 3 or 6%? Let me just see one or two people put in the chat box. Would you prefer 3% or 6%? I'm sure majority of people will prefer 6%. Yeah? So what you see here, really, this is now what happens. You've given your bank 10,000 pounds. Okay? Your bank then lends somebody else that 10,000 pounds. It could be a credit card. It could be a loan. It could be a store card. It could be a car finance, whatever it may be. The average interest they're charging right now is 24.9%. But let's just say you give them 10,000, somebody walks in behind you and they give that person your 10,000 pounds, but they charge them 12%. Now your 10,000 is working for the bank. Divide 72 by 12, that gives you 6. So now every 6 years, your money doubles for the bank. After 48 years, you see that number there? 2.56 million pounds from the same 10,000 pounds that you gave to them. You get 40, they keep 2.52 for themselves. Now, this rule can work for you or against you. What you find is working against most people. And it just comes down to education. Comes down to knowing how your money works. Okay, so let's talk about savings because this session is about savings and insurance. So let's talk about savings. Okay, it's really important that you start where you are now. There's something we call the high cost of waiting. So let's say somebody starts at the age of 25. They start putting aside £100 every month. Okay, £100 every month. By the time they get to the age of 67, they would have had £566,000 920 every single month when they invest that money, let's say at 9%. All right. If they waited 1 year, that same person waited 1 year, see how much they've lost. They've lost £49,000. If they waited 5 years, they would have lost £209,000. And if they waited 15 years, see what happens. What's the point of this slide? It's for you to start wherever you are now. If you've got children, get them into the habit of doing this, and nobody ever needs to retire financially challenged. All it takes is really doing it early enough and being consistent when you're doing it. Okay, it's really important that we can teach our young people to actually start putting their money aside, even if it's just a little bit on a monthly basis. I always say to treat it like a bill. You put it away every single month. Nothing stops you from doing that. Okay, so very important. Do not wait. That's the first thing I'm going to talk to you about. But why is it good to save? There are different reasons why it's good. It allows you to create a safety net for your future expenses as well as unplanned financial needs. Okay, savings can offer more peace of mind as you're better prepared for the unexpected. There's financial security. It helps you to avoid debt and you can pay off your loans quicker if you can get into the habit of saving. All right. Now there are some challenges that prevent us from saving. So I'm not, not everything is, smooth and hunky dory. There are life challenges that happen. Okay. If you can think of some life challenges that happens, please put it in the chat box. I've got someone here, but I'm going to ask you, if there's any more that you can think of, please put it in the chat box. So some of them that I can think of would be things like high cost of living. It's a challenging time right now for a lot of people. And some of those things, they're not your fault. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Yes, thank you, Emmy. Loss of a job is an obstacle. Fantastic. Thank you for leading the way there. Anybody else? Okay. Sickness, again, fantastic. Anybody else? There's other things like you can think of poor health. Poor health could stop you. Lack of discipline. And I spoke about this last week, that discipline is key. All right. Overspending, mistrust of financial institutions. I see this a lot. A lot of people say, oh, I don't trust them. They're going to take my money. They're going to go bankrupt. They're going to declare this and declare that. Yeah, that's true. Indiscipline. Thank you, Tola. That's absolutely brilliant. Indiscipline, yeah. Not knowing how or where to save. Okay. For me, education, lack of knowledge. For lack of knowledge, my people perish. And because we don't have that knowledge, we don't actually, sometimes it stops us from doing what we need to do. Okay. What happens if you do not save? You're vulnerable to emergencies. Without savings or an emergency fund, unexpected expenses like car repairs, job loss can push you into debt or financial hardship. Again, I see this all the time. When I'm talking to people and I'm going through their finances, I say, how did you start? Oh, yeah, I used my credit card and before I knew it, I couldn't pay it back. And that was it. They can't pay, and then it just continued to spiral. Okay. Again, limited access to opportunities. Okay. You might be interested in starting a business, but because you don't have any savings, you can't do that. You might want to better yourself and do some training, but because there's no money in savings, you can't do that. All right. Other things, inability to achieve your financial goals. What goals do you have? It may be a desire to buy a home, pay for your children's activities. Your children, they might want to play golf or go swimming or dance or football. You can't pay for it because there's no money. Maybe taking a holiday, going to that your dream destination might be impossible because you don't have the savings in there. Then again, depending on others. Lack of savings can make you reliant on financial support from family or government programs. Okay, thereby compromising your independence. And then finally, retirement insecurities. With no savings, how do you retire? We looked at the stats at the beginning. Out of 100 people getting to the age of retirement, only 5 are financially okay. The other 95 can't afford to retire, or when they do, they're going to be living from hand to mouth. They're relying on the government. Okay. I'm muting people here. Please mute yourselves. So yes, please. Okay. So these are some of the challenges that we face when it comes to not having any savings. So there are some tips for saving. What are some things that you can do? And again, I am happy for people to put some stuff in the chat box. If you can think of anything, what kind of tips? I'm only going to share one or two. I'm not going to share a lot, but maybe you have some others that you can put in there. Budgeting. We've already talked about budgeting. I think we covered budgeting last week. Okay. It's a great way to take it's a great tip for saving. Dealing with your debt. Again, we've already covered this. Actually, just a little shout out. Um, Emmy has been recording all these sessions. So if you want the recording from all the ones that we've done in the past, please get in touch with Emmy. You've got the poster. Send an email to that poster or call the phone number. And Emmy, I'm not sure if she's sharing the YouTube versions, whatever it is. Just contact Emmy. But we've covered these two things, okay? But you need to set some saving goals and determine your financial priorities, okay? One of the best ways to save money is by visualizing what you're saving for. And like I said earlier, we're going to cover goal setting in the near future, okay? We're going to look at goal setting. Somebody's, thank you. Being intentional, yeah. Being intentional is a good one as well. Thank you again, Tola, for that. And there are other things, choosing the right tool. There's piggy banks. There's, I know where Gilda, in the Caribbean, they say things like susu or partner. I know in Yoruba language is ajo, where different people put money together and somebody gets it, then the next person gets it, and the next person gets it. There's nothing wrong with it. Our forefathers have been doing it forever. That don't see why we can't. Yeah. Short-term, long-term goals. Carefully consider all the options, thinking about your interest rates and all these other things that you need to think about. But there's so many things you can look at. But the way you can save is personal to you. Okay. So have a think about it. Have a look through it. Go on, Emmy.
Yes, Sam, I just wanted to say
I think because you're in the car, your
general
sound is very dodgy. Your sound is
pidgin
very off.
language that a lot of other countries speak. They call it from bank.
Okay.
They together.
Yeah, your sound was a bit
Okay,
off.
I'll
We
just
couldn't hear you
pop it
properly.
in a message.
Yeah, if you put
All
in the
right,
chat
sorry.
box, please, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we couldn't hear you. I think because you're on the road.
She said
Okay.
trouble bank. Most people call it trouble bank.
Ah, okay. Trouble
Honjangi.
ban.
Yes, so yeah.
Okay, you know what? Everybody put it wherever, like I said, in Yoruba language, it's called ajo. I'm going to put that in the chat box. Whatever it's called in your country, please put it in the chat box. It'll be interesting to see what they're called, actually. So yeah, please put in. But thank you, Emmy. Thank you for sharing that. So I mentioned budgeting already. It's a great way to know what you want to save, how much you want to save. It's about living within your means. How do you sort out your budget? How much is your monthly income? How much is your monthly expenditure? That's your net income. Okay. So let's say your monthly income is £1,000. Your monthly expenditure is £700. Your net income is £300. So how much do you spend in Jaggi, Trouble Bank? Okay, it'd be interesting to find out why it's called Trouble Bank, actually. I can imagine why it's called Trouble Bank, but I think I need to go and look at the history of that. So you've got £300 back as your net income. That means you're allowed to spend £10 per day. But then how much of that are you going to save? Very important to think about your saving. And the way to really think about your savings, another thing, I shared this before already, but I feel like I should share it again, is what we call the 10-10-10-70. Okay, the 10-10-10-70. When you get paid and you get 100% of your income, your take home, we say 10% give. Okay, give short-term savings, long-term savings, and then everything else. So when we talk about giving, we're saying if you're a Christian, you've got to tithe, okay? Or you can give to charities. If you're not a Christian or whatever it may be, I'm not even going to be prescriptive like that. But there are charities that need money. You bless others, and I believe you will be blessed. Okay. Next one is short-term saving. Okay. What's that really? It's like an emergency fund. Very, very important. Think of it like a rainy day fund. Okay. And remember, for most of us here, we live in the UK. It rains a lot in the UK. All right. So there's always an emergency that needs fixing. Put 10% away every month when you get paid. The next 10% is long-term investment and savings. Any goal further away than 5 years will count as long-term. Get the rule of 72 working for you. Okay, we've already just explained the rule of 72. To get this rule working for your family, you will most likely make use of stocks, shares, investing, property, or both. Okay, so again, it's thinking about that long-term investment. That's the 10, 10, 70. And then everything else, your mortgage, your rent, your gas, your electric, your utilities, your TV, whatever it is, they come from the 70%. But it's really important that we can start saving and start putting this into practice. Again, if you want to know more about this, ask for the recording from last week, and I'm sure Emmy will get it to you so you can have a look through it. But we talk about building your financial house. Very important that you can build your financial house. When people have better information, they make better decisions. And it's having the information, but also putting the information to practice. So let me teach you something we call about your financial. We talk about building your financial house. When you're building a real house, I want somebody to put in the chat box. When you're building a real house, from the bottom to the top, what is the most important part of that house? Or the most important part of that building? Let me see somebody put it in the chat box. When you're building a real house, from the bottom to the top, what's the most important part of that building? Anybody? Fantastic, Marie. Foundation. When you're building a real house, your foundation needs to be solid. Your foundation, thank you, Tola. Your foundation needs to be there. When it comes to your financial house, you also need to think about a solid foundation. In your financial house, the foundation is your risk management. And the question there for you to answer is this: does your family have enough cash reserves or insurance to protect itself in the event of death or inability to work? Okay, that is your foundation. That is the base. If anything, I mean, we're going to talk about that some more because that's the second part of the presentation today. All right. When you've sorted out your foundation, then you sort out your debt. Do you have any debts? If you do, what's your strategy to accelerate your debt payment? Do you know what your debt freedom date is? When you've sorted that, then the next floor is your expenses. Do you have a plan for your money before you get paid? Without a plan, your money is subject to whims of others. If you don't tell your money where to go, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go all over the place. So do you have a budget? We looked at budgets already. Then the next step is looking at your assets. Have you got a plan to replace your salary in retirement? Do you have an emergency fund? And then the final bit is your income. Do you keep your options open for income or business opportunities? How many streams of income are you enjoying right now? 1, 2. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. How many streams of income do you have? Now, the question I'm going to ask you is this: do you currently have a written financial plan that addresses all these strategies in your financial house? I'm not going to ask you to put it in the chat box, but if your answer is no, there's a QR code there. I want you to scan in that QR code, book an appointment in my diary, and I'll be able to provide you with a complimentary financial plan. Okay, I'm going to leave that code there for a couple of seconds. Scan that code, take a screenshot. My details will be on at the very end as well. Booking an appointment to get your own complimentary plan, because that plan will look at all those 5 strategies in your financial house and it's personalized to you. It's a personal plan dedicated to you and your family. Okay, so now we've looked at savings. We've looked at how to save, where to save, different ways to save. The next thing we're going to talk about is the first step of your financial house. The very first step, the foundation of any financial home really is protection. Making sure your family is looked after. And we think of life insurance. So think of life insurance as an instant estate for your family, okay? Wealth that you rent while you build yours, okay? You rent wealth while you build for yourself. And then finally, money that you've bought for your family. That is the way to think about life insurance. Money that you've bought for your family. You know, again, scripture talks about a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the hands of the righteous. Okay? The question is, what inheritance will you leave for your children's children? You know, I've got a 5-year-old grandson right now. I've already seen my child's child. Okay, I need to be thinking about where is he going to be 10 years, 15, 20, because that's what the scripture commands. What about you? Are you actually thinking about the next generation? Okay, protection does that. So it's about buying the right kind of insurance. All right, so let me ask you a series of why is life insurance important? How much is your car worth? Now, do you insure that car? Again, if you've got your own property, how much is that house worth? Or let's say you've got contents in that building, TV, fridge. Do you insure those things? Then how much is your life worth? Would you say your life was probably worth more than your car or your house? I'm sure most of us will say yes. So can you afford not to insure your house? There's something that I talk to people about, you know, it's like if you work for 40 years and you earn an average of £25,000 a year for those 40 years, you would have earned £1 million. 25K for 40 years, £1 million. You are worth a lot of money. So are you insured? Okay. And the way I want you to think about this. Let's say you've got a toaster in your kitchen, and every 1st and the 15th of the month, the toaster pops out £2,500 every single month. On the 1st and the 15th, 25 pops out. Would you like that toaster? Let me see somebody put something in the chat box. Would you like that toaster? Yes or no? Or you can unmute and just answer. I'm happy with either. Yes or no? Would you like the toaster? Fantastic.
Yes.
You love that toaster. Brilliant. Would you insure that toaster?
Yes.
Yes, you would. Fantastic. Now, unfortunately, there's no such toaster. But in reality, you are the money machine for your family. Because every month, you and your partner, you both get paid. So does it not make sense to insure the imaginary toaster, which is you as the money machine? A different way to look at that, and I love to explain this to people, is think about this couple. Let's say they're Mary and John. Mary earns 2.5 every month. John earns 2.5. So every month they've got £5,000 coming in. Well done to both of them. But if you look on the other side, every month the mortgage or the rent comes out, the car comes out, insurance, groceries, childcare, entertainment. So every single month, 4,800 also goes out. Okay, so they've got 200 quid left at the end of the month. But let's say one day John goes out. Unfortunately, John goes out and John does not come back home. It could be death, it could be illness, whatever it may be. All right. If this happens, what will this family lose? They've lost that £2,500 that John was bringing in. Which of these bills is going to stop coming? None. All the bills will still be coming. What is Mary going to do? Can she take the time off to look after their child? Will she need to go back into work? So Mary is going to cry because she's lost her partner, but she's also going to cry because of money. Now, what insurance does is basically, what if Mary and John had planned to replace that income in case of emergency? And that's really what protection is. Protection, insurance is about buying money, renting money, so that you can protect the ones that you love. Okay? And it's really about getting the right insurance policy. Okay? There are different types for different people. Your situation will determine which one is right for you. There's things like life insurance. This will offer a lump sum of money to dependents if somebody died unexpectedly. For example, I've seen people pass away and they want to take their body back home. You know, it costs about 12 to 14,000 pounds to actually do that. Where is that money going to come from? With a life insurance policy, you get a lump sum of money. Critical illness, serious illness cover. Again, you get a lump sum of money if you're diagnosed with a specific type of serious illness. Did you know, right, that statistically in the UK, 1 in 3 will be diagnosed with a type of cancer? Those are the stats that has come out recently. 1 in 3. How many of us are on the call right now? A friend of mine got diagnosed with prostate cancer last year, April last year, I believe. Yeah. He only went in for a medical checkup. He went for the over 40s check. They found something, prostate cancer. He wasn't expecting it, but these things happen. Okay. Fortunately, he had protection because he was off work for several months. If that were you, what would have happened to you and your household? Income protection can provide you with a monthly monetary support if you find yourself unable to work due to an accident or illness. And then finally, private medical insurance can support you through illness or emergency situations that need urgent hospital attention. Again, hey, I love the NHS and I've used the NHS many, many times. However, it's just really tough out there right now. The waiting list is through the roof. Are you waiting for checks? Are you waiting for checkups? So it's just really important that we take these things seriously. I've been doing this for many years, and I talked, if I spoke to 10 people a day, maybe 2 of them will have a form of protection. And what we're doing is passing on that information so more of us understand this. And I don't think we get it enough. Okay, there's lots of excuses that people give for not having it. Okay, and they're not all the same. Even those people that I know who have them, the knowledge sometimes can be lacking. So there's things like accidental death benefit. I talk to people, they say, I'm only paying £2 a month. I've got life cover. I say, okay, let me see it. And when I look at it, it's actually accidental death benefit. What that basically means is this. Yeah, you're paying £2 a month. However, if you were to pass away, you only get paid out if you died through an accident. You get hit by a bus and you fall over in your bathtub. Okay? If you had a sickness, if you had a heart attack, if you had a cancer, if you had whatever it may be, it's not an accident. You do not get a payout. Now, a lot of people don't know that. They've just seen that it's £2-3 a month. I'll happily take that. Again, knowledge is really important. Again, I spoke to somebody recently. They say, I want to cancel my life insurance policy because the job I'm working for, the new job I have, they've now given me work death in service policy. So I had to educate them and said, one, are you going to work for that company for the rest of your life? That's the first thing. Secondly, it says it's daily renewable. You only get paid out if you die literally at your desk. All right. If you were away on holiday and you passed away, you do not get a payout. Okay. If you were to be sick and you were away for a while and you passed away, you do not get a payout. And this is where knowledge comes in. This is where understanding all these things come from. Asking questions for people that know what they're talking about. All right. There's other things like term life cover. This will pay out over a specific period. So you can say, you know what, I want this over the next 30 years. While my children are young, while I'm paying my mortgage, while I've got debt, by the time I'm 70, I will have some money in the bank. I don't need life insurance anymore. So you can just take that for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, your choice. But this is something you can have, and you know, during that period, if God forbid the Lord said, dude, it's time to come home, you know your family is protected. You're leaving them a love letter to say, I love you, I cared enough to put things in place in case something happens to me. And then you've got whole of life. This will basically pay out at any age. So even if you live up to the age of 150, when you eventually pass away, I'm not sure if you all know this, but the one thing we all know is 100 years from now, most of us on this call, or even all of us on this call, will not be here. Okay? Because we're all going to die one day. That's just a fact of life, whether we like to admit it or not, or talk about it or not. So with the whole of life cover, you know you're protected until the last day. When you pass away, this is like an instant inheritance for your children. Okay, so those are the different types of life cover that we have. You can decide which one works for you and go for it. Again, I am more than happy to have a sit down with people and to go through this with them, provide them with some education and more quotes based around your specific needs and your specific situation. But I just want to cover some things that I'm really passionate about because I've seen this happen so many times. When somebody passes away in the household, okay, and this is a real quote from somebody, okay, I wake up every morning in a cold sweat, regardless of how well things went the day before, thinking about how will the bills be paid, how long before we lose the house. This is somebody whose partner passed away with no protection. A widow without money never has days like they used to be and never will. Just to save a few quid a day, all right? Regrets, I wish I'd done it, does not pay bills, unfortunately. And for me, again, I get a lot of requests from people regularly, okay, about needing help to bury their loved ones. Too late. We need to get it done now. Whatever the excuse is for not buying life insurance, it never makes sense to a widow. It never makes sense to the person who's left behind. And there's lots of people that, I mean, again, take a screenshot, but there's so many quotes that I found around this same subject. I mean, it just keeps going. It's because, do your planning and prepare your fields before building your house. Dave Ramsey, term insurance is good defensive game plan. It's not my job to ask if you have life insurance. Don't make it your family's job to ask me if you had life insurance. The astute see evil coming and take shelter, but the stupid plow right on and then, of course, have to pay the price. There are so many things on there that really you need to take this seriously. If you've got one already, fantastic, well done. If you don't, or if you know people who don't, the time will come, or the time may come when they're going to come and ask you for money. So you need to talk to the people you know. Everybody around you, they're related to you, they're your friends. If anything happens to them, guess what's going to happen? They're going to say, when you go to GoFundMe, all it's really saying is, I'm begging you to help us. We messed up. We didn't purchase life insurance when we could easily have done so. So please bail us out. That's really what GoFundMe is. So if you've got people in your life right now, the next time you see them, ask them if they have life insurance. Because if anything happens to them, you will be expected to put your hand in your pocket and pay for their funeral. I'm sorry, but you've got your own challenges. So that's my encouragement to everybody here. Start asking people around you if they're protected. Because like I said, it's a love letter that you're writing to your family to say, I care enough when I was here to have some protection. So if anything happens to me, you are looked after. Okay? Money is a choice. The number one comfort for a widow would be their dead husband or wife. The number two comfort would be a check. And the question I'm going to ask you is this. If you were going to a funeral, what would you like to take to that widow? A bunch of flowers, a condolence card, or a check? A check for £500,000. I know personally, I would prefer to take a check. I would prefer to say, you know what, I'm really sorry for your loss. I'm really glad you've got protection. At least now, you know, financially, you don't have to cry. We miss your partner, but you're okay. It is the right thing to do. Okay? So today we've looked at saving, we've looked at insurance. And I'm going to finish up on the scripture because, like I said, for me, it's the scriptures are important to me. If anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for his immediate family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Are we providing for our immediate family? Are we providing for the children that didn't ask us to come, but we brought them anyway? Are we providing for them so that if anything happened to you, they're not going to go around begging people for money to be able to bury you, or to actually be able to pay off the mortgage, to buy a house, to go to university without really having any debt, to be able to have an investment for your grandchildren, to be able to send your grandchildren to a private school? Very important that we take this serious. I'm sorry if I come hard, but for me, this is a crusade that I have, personal crusade, that more of us need to have this in place. All right. So if you're serious about success, do you really want to be able to retire? Do you really want to improve your finances? Do you really want to leave a legacy? Do you really want to live debt-free? If you want to do all these things and you want to be successful, you've got to take action. Action, when you write the word action, it means you're acting on what you've heard. You've got to take action. If you said yes to any of those things, book in for your free financial plan. Details will be in 3 slides time. Yeah, I'm going to show my details again. Book in for a financial plan. Take a screenshot. Take a picture of the QR code, book it into my diary, okay? Find a time in there, book in there. But thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful being able to share this information with you all this Saturday afternoon. Thank you for your time. We've got the next session next week, and we're going to be talking about increasing your income, money-making goals. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Sounds like it's going to be good fun. But yeah, so thank you so much for your time. Like I said, if you want a free consultation or a financial plan, take a screenshot, book in my diary, just put in your name, your email address, your phone number, find a time on the calendar. It's pretty straightforward. But thank you so much for your time. I'm going to hand over to Gilda. Am I handing over to you? Thank you.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Apologies, I missed the beginning. I was out doing taxi driving for a child. Some of us know how that goes. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. I hope you actually you learned something today. I know savings is not the easiest of things to do, especially when you feel hard pressed from every side, but it is a discipline and it takes time to build and to grow. So start small, I'm sure some offer different options in terms of different ways you can save. Find the thing that suits you and just start, even if it's starting by putting £1 away a week, 50 pence, it's around getting yourself into that habit so you can, better your financial position, because money is one of the things that really causes us a lot of stress. It leads into ill health. And I know that's one of the topics we're going to be looking at in future as well, by God's grace, looking at, the connection between our money and our mental health and our finances and, the toll it takes on us physically. So please don't just, listen today and go away and forget what you've been shown or taught, but really, I hope that you all take something away that is positive. If you haven't got life insurance, now I've come across every kind of excuse. Oh, I don't believe in life insurance. Jesus will take care of me. I'm not going to argue with people about those things. All I'm going to say, be responsible. Think about your partner, whether that's your husband or your wife. If you don't have one of those, think about your children. If you don't have those, think about, whatever kind of legacy that you want to leave behind. But do think about it. Investigate carefully the policy you get and make sure it's right for you. I'm not going to go over what Sam has said. I just want to reiterate it's important so that people don't take it for granted. Okay? Because we will all die. None of us is getting out of this thing alive. What we don't know is when that will be. And one of the things I do not want to do is to leave my family in a position where what they inherit when I pass away is debt. That is not the legacy I am going to leave behind. So, but yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything that they would like to comment on? And I will mute myself now and just wait to see if anybody has anything to contribute. Thank you all so very much.
Marie, do you want to do the sponsors? Or Emmy, one of you?
That's fine with me. Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Samuel for that brilliant presentation. I personally have really learned a lot, and I have already started applying some of the principles you have been teaching us for the past week. I'm really grateful for your input, your time, and everything, and also Madam Gida for coordinating it. And we also want to will not forget to appreciate Lead Community Foundation for sponsoring our financial literacy project. It's an awesome thing, as you rightly said, knowledge is wealth. Many people are into financial issues. They have a lot of mental issues because they have not been able to manage their finance. And if that is managed, a lot of things will be addressed. And as you said, train your children, teach your child. As they grow older, they will help. So the knowledge you are applying here, you are giving us, myself, I will do my best to teach my children, even though they are still little. But I believe children learn, and as they see their parents doing things, they copy, because we are a mirror to our children. I just want to appreciate your time and would like to announce that the last session on the 23rd, which will be Saturday, will be face-to-face. Hopefully our host, that name woman, will give us the venue at the right time. But I just want to also thank everyone for participating. I see lots of same people, and I encourage us all to invite more people. If you are really learning something, I bet you we want to also extend that to others. So if we can't just decide to like invite 5 persons, that will change the life of someone. It will transform a soul and not only an individual, because if you're teaching one person, some people are proactive that you may teach one person and he will be able to raise 10,000 people. So just one invite will also help build a community. That will be your own support to empower those around you and the community. I just want to thank you once everyone for participating, your time, and hopefully we all will be here as the Lord tarry next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Take care. God bless. See you soon.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye-bye.
Oh. Yeah. Greetings, Queen Hilda. I am Amemi's younger sister. I don't
Okay,
know.
okay. Hello,
Yeah.
hello. Good to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully,
Thank
I'll see you in the flesh eventually. But I think you wanted Sam to help you with something, so I'll jump out
Yes.
and
No,
leave you
Hilda,
to.
Hey,
you can.
Sister Jennifer.
It's just to.
yes, Sam, I can
Hold on,
participate.
Marie. Hold on, Marie.
I'm
Yes?
there.
Hold on, Marie. Marie, hold on. What did you say, Sister Jen?
Sam, I cannot get to speak. I can hear everybody talking. I'm willing to talk. I don't know how to unmute. Oh,
Oh no!
I'm sat here thinking I can speak, but I can't speak because I can't unmute.
So how did you have you figured it out now then? Because
I
you're
don't
unmuted
know.
now.
All I've done is press tap to speak when everybody else is quiet and nothing's happening.
Oh
I just
no!
wait till the end and then tap and I can speak to it and hear everybody.
Oh, I'm
I've
sorry. I'm
even tried
sorry.
inviting Vanya. I've told her I'm going to try and get the recording for her.
Okay,
Oh,
okay. All right. I'll try and get yeah, if you contact me, I'll get the recording to you somehow.
please, please.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
The other
Okay.
thing, Sam, is can I talk
Yes.
to you at the end about the 2 letters that I sent to you when you came round to my house?
I'll give you a call later on.
Please,
I've
please.
just got to jump off, but I'll give you a call later.
Okay,
Yeah?
then.
Okay.
So
All right.
can I get
Take
the
care.
information from last week? The first
Okay.
session, because I missed that. So that's 3 sessions. Well, 3
Okay.
sessions twice, yeah?
Okay. I'll talk to
Yeah,
Emmy
we'll send
and
your
we'll get
email
it
to
you.
Emmy, and she can add you to the If you send your email address to Sam.
You'll have to ask Sam for that because Sam, have you still got the email address?
Don't worry, I'll sort it. I'll pass
Yeah,
it
and
on
then
to
Emmy
you.
will be able to add you to the mailing list, and then you'll be able to
Okay.
have the